The Commission of the Status of Women is currently underway at the United Nations in New York, a session chaired by South Africa under the theme Achieving Gender Equality and the Empowerment of All Women and Girls in the context of climate change, environmental and disaster risk reduction policies and programs. Minister of Women, Youth and Disabilities, Maite Nkoana-Mashabane, is leading South Africa's delegation in New York, where she is currently delivering the country's statement. Here's a listen.
Environmental changes and natural disasters. These have become the biggest threat that affects most vulnerable, in particular women and girls in rural areas. Women in rural areas, especially in Africa, are highly dependent on local natural resources for their livelihoods, and this is owed to their responsibility to secure water, food, energy, and cooking and heating. While climate change, environmental crises and disasters affect women disproportionately, they are also agents of change leading in the search of sustainable solutions. We need, therefore, to affirm and ensure that the full, equal, meaningful participation and leadership of women in all areas is felt. Let us use the CSW66 to agree to measure for integrating gender perspective into climate change, environment and disaster risk reduction policies. It is unfortunate that the world is still lags behind in this regard. Chair, South Africa reiterates its commitment to the UNFCCC at Paris aimed at strengthening the global response to the threat of climate change. We call upon developed countries to fulfill their climate finance obligations and commitments. Programs for the mitigation, adaptation, technology and transfer and finance should address the needs of women and girls, and South Africa supports the expansion of gender-responsive financing as part of the climate change policies in all countries that would target women-led initiatives and programs. South Africa amended its Disaster Management Act 57 of 2002 in 2015 to provide for the inclusion of the specific measures to address the needs of women, children, and the elderly, the people with disabilities during the disaster management process and in disaster management plans that must be developed by organs of state across the spheres of government. We need the whole of government approaches to build the resilience of women in the range of sectors, including the social protection, education, skills, agriculture, as well as in the just transition to a low-carbon economy. Since the adoption of the Beijing Declaration and Platform of Action, South Africa has adopted numerous critical laws and policies aimed at addressing sexual and gender-based violence. Some of the enacted legislations in this regard are deliverables from our National Strategic Plan for Gender-Based Violence and Femicide. Incidences of gender-based violence have tended to rise during the time of natural disasters and pandemics. We view gender-based violence as anyway as a crime against our common humanity, and we should all commit ourselves to eradicating this scourge all over the world. Furthermore, women's sexual, reproductive and health rights should be protected during times of environmental crisis and disasters. In conclusion, women and empowerment has been part of the global agenda that has been breaking new ground in recent years. Empowerment of women forms an integral part of social
I thank the distinguished representative of South Africa. I now give the floor to the distinguished representative of the Dominican Republic, Her Excellency Mayra Jimenez, Minister of Women. Minister, you have the floor.
Distinguida Presidenta, distinguidas delegadas y delegados, es un honor para el Estado Dominicano dirigirse a la Comisión de la Condición Jurídica y Social de la Mujer en su 66 periodo de sesiones a los fines de avanzar en el compromiso para alcanzar la igualdad de género en el contexto de las políticas.
In the context of climate change, environment and disaster risk reduction.
Live events coming out of the United Nations, where we just had a short while ago South Africa's Minister of Women, Youth and People with Disabilities, Maite Nkoana-Mashabane, speaking on the Commission on the Status of Women that is currently underway. My colleague Sho and Bryce Pease will be speaking to her live from the headquarters.